Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be showing you how to play and talking about Lawyer Up. So here you go. This is the Lawyer Up prototype that was sent to us by Rock Manor Games. It was designed by Sam Bailey and Mike Nade. Now, this is a game that is coming to Kickstarter shortly, and it is a two-player kind of dueling card game, but in a very different sort of feel to it than any other dueling card game I've ever played, mainly because of the theme, which is that you're playing out an actual legal court case. And the one case that we got set to try out is a murder case. Though there are, in the rules, it specifically references at least one other case that's going to start with come with the base game.
And the rules mention other cases too.
I'm guessing there's
in the future.
Well, I'm guessing they're probably gonna have more cases as stretch goals and then maybe expansions.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because those cases totally change how the game's gonna play, which is really neat. Because the two cases that are in the rules play significantly different as well. One is an art theft case and the other is a murder case. Obviously, those would be very different sorts of court cases. So now usually in a review like this we would normally go into the components, but as this is all pre-production and subject to possibly change, we're just going to jump into showing you how to play the game. And then we're going to come back, we're going to talk about how this game feels and how it plays, and we're going to talk about who we would recommend this game to. Okay, so here we are set up to play a game of Lawyer Up. So in order to set up, we set out the 12 jurors, and they're set up numerically 1 through 6, 1 through 6. The number is also their skepticism, so it's the number of points you need to sway them. We randomly associate them each a symbol, so it's completely random which juror gets what symbol. And the top row all starts with 1 point of bias towards the prosecution, while the bottom row starts with 1 point of bias towards the defense. We also take all of the cards that have the case 01 marking on them there, where I'm pointing with my little finger, and we shuffle them up into a common deck in the middle of the table, while Lynn and I each take our own decks, which do not have any case number on them, and in my case have all red prosecution numbers in their top left corner, while Lynn's have the blue defense numbers in their top left corner. We also each take our little influence counters.
Tracker?
Yeah, it's a nice little tracker to help us keep track of how much influence we have over the current witness. We then go through our 3 possible strategies, and we each pick a strategy simultaneously, and these are going to be the types of symbols we're looking to try to get amongst the witnesses to our side, and it also dictates what witnesses are going to start out on the field. So Lynn has one like this also, and we've already selected the witnesses and put them out. The rest of the witnesses are in a face-down deck over there. We each also get three face-up objection tokens. Now, these are used once and turned face down unless you have cards that allow you to turn them back face up, which are kind of rare and very powerful. And we each have 1 sidebar token, which starts face up as well. In the case 01, which is a murder case, the prosecution gets to start out with this card, the bloody knife on the side, and when we make our starting hand, I'm going to get to add this to my starting hand. So now that we've set all that up, the next part of the setup is a draft where we're going to draft all of the cards from here. So in order to do so, we're each going to draw 3 at a time, and then we're going to look at them. We're going to put 1 onto our deck, we're going to give 1 to our opponent, and we're going to put 1 face down off here to the side to be buried, and that'll be buried evidence, because the general deck over here is all evidence. So I'm going to choose that I want this one. Lynn's giving me that one there. I'm going to give Lynn this one here while I bury that one. And then we're going to do it again. And we keep doing this until we completely get through the whole deck, so that 1/3 of the deck is in each of our own decks and 1/3 is removed to the side in the buried evidence. So we'll be right back after doing this 10 times, and we'll have made our entire decks. Okay, so we have finished divvying up and drafting all those cards. We have a deck over here, which is all the buried evidence, and that's important because there are some card effects that may let you go looking in there for buried evidence. Now we're going to take the time to thoroughly shuffle up our decks that are made up of our starting cards plus the cards that we drafted or our opponent drafted on our behalf into our decks, and we're going to be right back after thoroughly shuffling that up in just a moment. Okay, so we've thoroughly shuffled up our own decks and we've drawn our hands of 5 cards each. I added the bloody knife to my hand because that is, the prosecution gets to start with that. And as we start with the judge on the prosecution side, the judge is two-sided here, red for prosecution, blue for defense, so it starts out favoring the prosecution. I call the first witness, and I choose to call Officer Murphy. Now, if you look at the witness card here, you can see that in addition to their name, you can see that the primary points there, which will face whoever called them, are 3, but only for the prosecution. So if Lynn had called, she would not be getting any of those points. And the secondary points, which are go to who did not call this witness, which is 1, and it is neutral, either one of us could be able to get that point. So Lynn will be able to get that 1 point. In addition, all of the bias symbols are shown there, and this witness has a if the prosecution calls ability, and if the prosecution has a victory on this witness ability. So I'm going to set her here in the middle of the table, and since she's going to give me 3 points, I'm going to raise my current sway on my tracker here to 3, while Lynn raises hers to 1. And the prosecution call ability is I can lock 1 either magnifying glass bias symbol or 1 scale. So I'm going to lock this scales here. Now I'm going to show that to the camera. As you see, the token on it is a bias symbol. The only way to get it on the lock symbol is to use a lock ability. I'm going to lock it, which means it cannot just be swayed off any longer. You now need to use the ability of unlock to get that off. So it'll be a little harder for Lynn to sway this drawer because she'll need to get the special ability of unlock. Now, since I called this witness, I go first in regard to playing something on this witness. So I'm going to play evidence. I'm going to play medical records. Now, medical records, some of the symbols here have to match her bias symbols. Now, she has all 3 of the symbols that are on the medical records. The medical records card is worth 2 points for the prosecution, which I am the prosecution, and it has an examination ability where I can lock 1 skull. So it's really good for me. Now, if Lynn wanted to, she could object to that to stop it from happening. Are you going to object to that?
No.
So she will not, which means that I get 2 points. So it brings me from 3 influence up to 5. And I'm going to lock this skull drawer right here, because to lock them, they have to be only 1 space away from the lock, and they were. And I'm going to lock them into place, and that is really good. And that's my card play.
I'm going to play an action. Well, I'm not playing the action.
You're going to play a procedure.
Yes, I'm playing a procedure.
So now when you play a procedure, you play it in front of yourself as the action, and later you could play the action on it for a action. So in this case, what procedure is that you're playing?
Surprise witness.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, most procedures usually require the judge to be favoring you to use their action, so you're going to need to swap the judge's position before you can use that one. So now it is my turn. I'm going to play a procedure myself. I'm going to play the procedure of new evidence. Now, in the case of these procedures, you can play them to later play their action ability at the bottom, or you could play them for the fact that they have every symbol on them, even though they're usually worth 0 points, just like this one is, but it would then open up the ability for future cards, because my next card played will have to match the symbols, or at least one of the symbols that is, on the last card that I played here. So I'm just going to play this one, and I'm going to place it face up in my play area over here.
It doesn't give me anything.
But you need to play something. So it matches the symbols, it's got a victory ability, and it has a point, but only if you're prosecution. And since Lynn is the defense, like she said, it does not actually give her anything. So I'm going to play the bloody knife. So the bloody knife has matches up to 2 of the symbols on the previous card, so it is playable. It is worth 5 points for the prosecution, and if I win with it, it will give me an extra 15 influence above and beyond the influence I win for winning this witness.
I'm going to object to that.
Oh! Lynn objected to the bloody knife, which means I must discard the bloody knife. Goodbye, bloody knife, and I have to play something else. Okay, so, well, with Lynn's objection, it puts me in a tough position. I don't have very many good cards to play. I don't have cards that match up to my symbols now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a sidebar. Now, the sidebar, I flip the sidebar token face down. This is the sidebar token. And once it's face down, I would flip the judge to side with me, but she's already siding with me. And then I get to draw a card, and that's my whole turn. So that's it for me.
I'm going to play this card.
What is it?
Doesn't do anything for me.
Oh, again, are you just buying time at the moment?
Sort of.
Got it. Okay, because I'm in a little bit of a tough situation. Even though I'm winning, I'm wondering what you've got going on over there. So I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna play No Further Questions. It's an argument. It does match up with one of the symbols on the previous card, the medical records card. It'll give me 4 points for the prosecution, and the examination ability is that the defense gets to draw a card, but then I am not allowed to play any more cards for this witness. So that ups my influence all the way to a 9, which is really nice. I like that. But now, if Lynn has something really good to now kick my butt with, I could be in trouble.
I'm going to play Logical Argument. I get +2 for every mind, so I get 6.
Wow! Okay, that was really good. So your 1 goes to a 7. Now, I have to pass because I'm not allowed to play any more cards. So what do you got going on? What else?
I can also play this, and I can draw 1 card, and it gives me 2.
Gives you 2?
And then I'm going to play Point of Law, which gives me 3 points. So I go to 11. Right? No, 9, 10, 12.
12.
I'm so bad at math.
Anything else?
No.
That's it for you?
That is it.
Okay, so now I lost this witness. Even though I called them, Lynn got this witness stolen out from under me. So we checked to see if there's a loss effect over here. There is not. We checked to see if there's a win effect on Lynn's last card she played over here. There is not. There is only a win effect on Officer Murphy if the prosecution won. If it did, I would be able to sway or lock one of the biases of one of the juries. Unfortunately, I lost, so I didn't get that effect. Now, if any of those effects did match up, if I had a loss effect, if Lynn had a victory effect, or if there was a general victory effect over here, we would have done those effects. But now that we're done with that, we discard the cards that we used. Lynn will take Officer Murphy and add it to her 1 witness pile. And now Lynn had 12 sway to my 9, which means that Lynn has 3 points to sway jurors. Now, jurors cost a number of points equal to the number on them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Lynn, what kind of swaying are you going to do?
I'm going to sway him all the way to my side.
Well done. And that is very useful because the defense only needs to have 1 of any of these jurors on their side for them to win, because that means that there will not be a conviction. We go through all of this with all of our witnesses. The defense has 1 special witness that they can call once during the game. Their special witness is the defendant, and they have 6 points towards the defense, and they're the only one who's allowed to call them. We go through all of the witnesses, and at the end of the game, once we've gone through all the witnesses, we see who has the most points based on their strategy and the witnesses that they have managed to secure to their side. Whoever has the most points gets to spend the difference in points again to influence the jury 1 last time for their closing arguments, just in the same way that Lynn had influenced that juror with the difference in points that we had on that witness. And in the case of the prosecution, if at the end of the game all of the witnesses are on the prosecution side, the prosecution will win. And in the case of the defense, if at least 1 witness is still on the defense side, the defense will win the game of Lawyer Up. Now we're going to head back and we're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels. And we're going to talk about who we would recommend this game to. Okay, welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Lawyer Up. All right, so let's talk about some things that maybe might appeal to you and make you know if help you know if you want to back this game on Kickstarter. So the first thing I want to draw attention to is the incredibly unique theme on this. I mean, my immediate thought, the only thing that could pop into my mind of another game with this kind of humorous lawyer theme to it is a video game, not a tabletop game. But the what are those lawyer
Phoenix Wright, Ace
Right.
Attorney?
Yes, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games. There was also like a Harvey Birdman one.
I think I play that.
You
one?
did play that one.
Okay.
So those are
It
the
was like the Wii or something, wasn't
right.
it?
But the point I'm getting at is those are the only games I can think of that are like this. I can't think of any tabletop games I've even seen that are like tongue-in-cheek, humorous, lawyer-based. And I say tongue-in-cheek because a lot of the artwork in here is very funny. Some of the cards you can play are bizarre and a bit funny. Like there's a card where you can bribe the judge, which, if it were a more serious game, would be dark and freaky. But in this game, it's funny. And also there's that card for recess, which is supposed to be like a court recess, but the picture's all the lawyers like running and screaming out the door like it's a kid's school recess, which that one cracks me up. So the theme is what I'm saying is my first big reason why I think some people would want to back this and would want to get themselves a copy. This is the unique theme of this game. So how about you? What's another big plus on Lawyer Up?
I think it also, I don't want to say unique gameplay, but because it's not unique, we've seen all the elements before, but
Maybe a unique combination?
They kind of combine them in a unique way.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the
because it's just like picture matching. So
there's like it's like hand management, and you're managing the symbols to try to be able to chain them because you want to play a card that's then going to let you play another card that then going to let you play another card.
And you also you want to win witnesses that have the symbol that will give you points at the end.
Right, that's very important. But and then also it's very interesting to try to win by the most possible so you can sway the jurors to your side. And then in the murder case, it's very interesting how the without special effect, it's very easy for the prosecution to actually lock jurors in fully on their side, and without a special effect card, it can be difficult for the defense to then get them out of it. But to balance that out, then it's very easy for the defense to win because they only need one juror on their side to win, whereas the prosecution needs all of them. So this got this asymmetrical play, which makes sense for the court system because obviously court cases are asymmetrical. There's different rules for the defense than there are for the prosecution.
Yeah.
So it thematically makes like amazing sense in how they worked this out. So do you just mean like that it's a unique combination of mechanics and the way they put it all together?
Yeah, because I mean it's pretty much like you're playing the cards with the symbols to get points and to win the witness, and that's pretty much just like it's like almost like trick taking.
I could see that a little bit. Not really, but there's some similarities.
Yeah. It's like between trick taking and bidding, but it's not quite really either one fully.
Yeah, it's like you're building up power and playing effects, and the effects can be huge because sometimes you play a card not because it gives you a lot of power, sometimes not even any power, but then it has an effect where you're like, oh, you get to discard one of your opponent's cards, which then reduces their power, or maybe lets you draw a card, or maybe one gives you a lot of power, but then it lets your opponent draw a card, and you're like, but I really need the power, because this gives me 5 sway. I really like, because of how...
Bias.
Oh, bias, yeah. Well, no, sway. It gives you the sway there. It's the bias on the jurors.
There's a lot of words that mean...
similar things.
Basically the same thing.
Well, they're similar. It's not quite the same. It's sway over the
it's like
on the witness, and then bias on the jurors. So, I think one of the best parts is that since there are some cards that can be situationally unbelievably powerful, I like having the objection tokens. The objection tokens are incredibly powerful in that 3 times per game you flip one over and you're like, no, you can't play that card. Just done. No. That I'm going to play this card. It's going to give me 12 sway. No. No, that you're not getting 12 sway. You're not playing that card. And then on rare occasions, there are victory effects on cards, which let you turn an objection token back over so you could use one again, which that is so powerful because those objection tokens themselves are so powerful, and being limited to only 3 per game is not a lot without then getting those later effects to get them back. So I really like that too. What else do you think are some good things to talk about with this game?
Well, because there are different, what do they call them? In the beginning, when you pick the card that's going to give you points at the
Strategies.
end, yeah, there's different strategies. So, I mean, it's still just like it's 2 of the 6 symbols or however many there are. But I mean, it makes it a little bit different because you'd be going for different witnesses,
plus
picking a different strategy.
The different strategies cause different witnesses to come up.
Yeah.
Which have different witnesses have different abilities, both for when they're played and when they're won. So that significantly changes up the game quite a bit because there's a good number of witnesses, and each of the 3 strategies that either the prosecution or the defense can choose gives you a different set of witnesses. And then also the different possible ones that they're going to choose are also going to give them a different set of witnesses. And since all of the witnesses can technically be called by either player, it thoroughly makes the game different each time, which I do like that a lot too. I'm with you on that one. Anything else we should talk about in regard to Lawyer Up? It's got some little bits of take that elements. It's got there's a lot of like pattern forming, pattern recognition, hand management, kind of almost like area control. It's weird. So like you're sort of doing area control and trying to bid for the witness, and then also doing area control on the jurors as you're moving the bias on the jurors back and forth. So it almost kind of feels like an area control game, which is a bit odd because it seems that I think is like a very different use of area control than you would normally have, which I really like. Yeah, I would. You know what? If any of this sounds interesting to you, I would recommend you back this project. This is a really cool, unbelievably unique and amazing theme for a tabletop game, and it's fun. So yeah, I would say if you are interested in like courtroom drama, but with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, humorous, slant to it, and also interested in these sort of game mechanics that are in here, where the mechanics can be very interesting but also very easy to grasp, because that's another thing we didn't talk about. This is actually a very easy game to learn. Like it seems a little intimidating at first, but then you read it and you're like,
there's a lot of jargon, I think is the good word to use. There's like sway and bias, and there's other words too that I'm just not recalling. But there's a lot of words that you need to learn what they mean. There's like influence and
terminology.
Yeah,
that's the word, terminology.
No, but I was thinking of the other words.
Oh,
I think there's like influence. They use the word influence.
Yeah.
And like some of them like sound like they mean the same thing, but it's like just slightly different, and it's just
okay. But once you actually learn it, it's not that difficult of a game to learn. It's pretty easy to get into, pretty easy to play. So yeah. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, we would bottom line, we would recommend this game to you. So we would recommend that you back the Kickstarter. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns either on Lawyer Up or this video, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this preview and tutorial for Lawyer Up from Rock Manor Games, designed by Sam Bailey and Mike Nade, be sure to give this video a like, share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And hit that little bell icon on my channel so you get alerts every time I upload a new video. And until next time, game on.